Alright, hey guys, Pax, welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. As the title states, we'll be going over Team Rocket's Weezing EX. Look at this full art. What a mess this is. This guy right here, fucking Zoro up here, is bewildered. She's already dead. This person right here is already just dead. And everyone else is about to die shortly afterwards, but yeah, this is the new Weezing EX card, HP 140, Stage 1. Has the ability Boiler Smog. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned and burned. So the initial turn after evolving, you are doing 30 damage at the end of your opponent's turn. Poison continues unless your opponent subs out of their active or PC ladies. Has one attack, Confusion Gas. The 60 damage requires 2 Darkness type energy. After attacking, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. So very much status effect heavy. In one turn, you could apply 3 status conditions onto your opponent's active. Confusion can be very disruptive, and again, poison, burnt, very nice chip. So pairing Weezing with Hoopa EX as well as Mega Absol, very similar playstyle to the variation with Darkrai Ex, albeit this deck has potential to be far faster as well as more versatile, especially towards the late game. Here's a 2D pattern code. It's also going to be in the top left, as you can see, stabbing into my head. But yeah, if you guys are new to my channel, really would appreciate if you guys like and subscribe. Really does help me out, especially as a small-time content creator. Without further ado, let's get right into the deck showcase. Alright, here we are in our first battle. We are going second up against the Team Rocket's Articuno EX solo deck, leading with Hoopa. If you guys ever used a Hoopa Darkrai Mega Absol EX deck, the playstyle is very similar, but this deck is a lot more faster paced, has a lot more potential, especially if you can get out Weezing as fast as possible, leading with Hoopa. So hand could definitely be better, but we can chill like this for now. Yeah, so this turn only doing 40. Keep in mind, next turn, if we do evolve into Team Rocket's Weezing, we are doing 30 damage of status effects. So 10 damage from Poison, 20 damage from Burnt. Pairing that with Shadow Bullet as well as Deceptive Needle, we are doing a total of 70 damage. And just a little comparison, comparing that to Hoopa EX Darkrai. Darkrai paired with Hoopa EX and the Needle does 60, so a bit more, and that 10 damage could definitely matter in the long run. There's a lot of basic Pokemon with 70 HP, so you can get a lot of value just like that. For now, just Shadow Bullet, just like this, attacking Articuno as well as Carvanha. Next turn, we could do 70 damage on to Articuno. All right, opponent Professor researches, evolves into Sharpedo, unable to retreat out of Articuno. Just like this, evolve into Weezing. And as you can see, this will appear. Click yes. Just like that, opponent's active is poisoned and burnt. At this point, we might as well be super aggressive. So feeding Hoopa, Shadow Bullet, doing 70 damage on to Articuno. Yes, look at this. 10 from Poison, 20 from Burnt. Next turn, we can Shadow Bullet yet again, taking out this legendary Iceberg. You gotta love the CPU. Opponent Giant Cape Sharpedo. Very big brain plan, yes. Because if they Giant Cape the Articuno, we couldn't one-shot with Hoopa. But because they Giant Cape Sharpedo, thank you, I guess. We have 2 choices right here. We can either feed Hoopa doing 100 damage onto Sharpedo. If you can heal up at least over 40 HP, this should be good. Okay, nice, we got heads. So we have a lot of options. There's a lot of things we could do this turn. We can either feed Weezing, feed Absol, or even the Hoopa in the bench. Bro, look at Hop is going crazy right now. You gotta love RNG in this game. We are running 1 copy of Team Rocket's Boss. In solo battles, you might not see much play depending on the CPU, depending on its IQ, but in PvP, especially towards higher tier ranks, Team Rocket's Boss might be worth running because looking at the card, look at your opponent's hand and put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. And especially towards the early game, your opponent might be hesitant on placing down their bench Pokemon, especially if you are leading with Hoopa, making sure to minimize Hoopa EX's chip damage. So yeah, that's the main reason why I'm running Team Rocket's Boss. There's a lot of ways this can go. So I could feed Hoopa. If I pull a Cyrus next turn, I could possibly win. But if my opponent gets very lucky with a second copy of May, it might be over because Articuno can one-shot Hoopa. Might as well just do this. Talking a lot, but hopefully I'm making sense. So this turn, doing 110 onto Sharpedo. All I need is a Cyrus, and I basically win. All right, opponent subbing in to Articuno. They Elemental Switch once. They Misty. Okay. You gotta love Misty. It's not over yet. It is not over. Keep in mind, Articuno also chips the bench. You gotta love that. Mega Sharpedo is looking mighty frail. If you pull a Field Blower, we could win this. Cyrus and another Weezing, okay. We can definitely still work with this, so let's do that. attack. Next turn, we should be able to win. Very straightforward stuff. Opponent subs into Lapras. Second copy of Articuno. But yeah, you see how this deck works. Relies heavily on chip. Very fast pace. But much like the variation with Darkrai Ex, Grass type is a huge hard counter to this deck. Does a ton of damage. As well as Ogerpon. Ogerpon negates all status conditions. Nevertheless, taking a win just like this. Deceptive Needle. This deck is so much fun to run. Getting 5 points just like this. Just like that, taking the win. And with that being said, we should see how this deck performs in PvP. Alright, here we are in PvP battle. Going second, it's a mirror match. Here we go. Battle of the Coughings. Poison Gas versus Poison Gas. Which gas is stronger? We shall see. We can be super aggressive. So, beat Coughing and not attack. Because keep in mind, after attacking, you'll have to switch this Pokemon with one of your bench. So, next turn, if you can get Weezing out, we are doing 100 damage in one turn. Opponent evolves in to Goldango. Interesting. Feeds the Coughing in the bench. We got Hoopa instead. Okay, we can definitely still work with this. So, Hoopa EX, Team Rocket's boss. They have a Raticate and a Weezing. Also, Team Rocket's Thieving Machine. Okay, so about a Coughing into Hoopa, doing damage on the Coughing in the bench. Okay, they attempt to use. Hold up, they're using Team Rocket's Professor. You're doing Team Rocket's research. They got Tails twice. That is rough. New card, flip a coin until you get Tails. For each heads, put a random Pokemon that has Team Rocket in its name from your deck into your hand. So instead of Team Rocket's boss, you can very much run that. Although again, as you can see, it's very RNG independent. It can get you no value at all. So we'll see if it's worth running in the long run. But for now, Professor's research. At this point, we might as well start feeding Absol, just like this. Shadow Bullet attacking Weezing. Just like this, they sub into Weezing. They use Thieving Machine, getting Pokeball, okay. If you can get a Weezing, we should be able to one-shot their Weezing next turn. Because 30 damage of status conditions, paired with Absol, we are doing 110 damage. Opponent places down 2 copies of Rattata, feeds one of them. Hoopa, taking a lot of damage. We got Cyrus instead, so it should be GG. Yes, so small balloon. Might as well look at Ice Pop for fun. Doesn't really matter too much. This will be nice if we can get over 60 HP. Okay, healing up to 80. So retreat in to Absol. 80 damage this turn. Next turn we can Cyrus. Interesting. So they have Raticate and Weezing. Good to know. But it should still work. For one thing, Raticate's only doing 70. So it will take it 3 turns until it can one-shot Absol. And he subbed into Raticate as well. Okay, and we got Weezing. Nice. Weezing and Cyrus. Evolving into Weezing for fun. Feed Absol and Cyrus. GG. Just like that. So, you see the potential with this deck. Granted, again, it requires a lot of setup. For the most part, you want to get out your Coughings as fast as possible. 30 damage could come in clutch, as you can see. But even then, this deck is already strong as it is, especially with the 2 copies of Cyrus, the chip damage coming from Hoopa, and Absol being the absolute GOAT. Alright, next battle going first. Leading with Coughing. Small Balloon in to Hoopa, placing down Mega Absol and ending our turn. Not doing Deceptive Needle, primarily because we don't need it. Keep in mind, next turn, Hoopa paired with Needle paired with Weezing, we're doing 70. The reason why we aren't placing Needle this turn is just in case they have a Field Blower, which does ruin our plans. So opponent feeds Darkrai and ends their turn. This is going to be very diabolical. So first of all, Boiler Smog, doing 30 damage. Feed Hoopa, Deceptive Needle, and Shadow Bullet, targeting the Darkrai. Next turn, we could Cyrus. Main issue is that in 2 turns, Darkrai should be out and attacking. So with that being said, it would be nice if you can get Lucky Ice Pop. But just like that, Corphish is gone, man. You got Fried Lobster. I don't know if that's a thing. Let me know in the comments below if you guys ever had Fried Lobster. Opponent evolves into Crawdaunt, discarding an energy from Hoopa. Not too bad, but still, even then, next turn, Darkrai can attack. So, especially if my opponent retreats using Parasol Lady, they can sub into Darkrai and start attacking. So, it might be more beneficial to start feeding our Mega Absol. They Parasol Lady this turn. Okay, placing down Corphish, yeah. So yeah, at this point, just feed Absol. And keep in mind, if you can evolve into another Weezing, you could one-shot Darkrai next turn. So end our turn just like this, doing 10 damage using the Needle. 80 plus 30, 110. Opponent evolves into Crawdaunt, getting no value at all. Attacks with Darkrai. Hoopa's down to 10 HP. Okay, we got Team Rocket's boss. Might as well. Interesting. They have Galarian Obstagoon. No basics. So for now, we might as well just feed Hoopa. Shadow Bullet. Doing 30 next turn. Absol should knock it out, unless they can discard an energy from Absol. Opponent did not return within the allowed time. They turned off their phone and touched grass. Alright, last battle, going second, leading with Hoopa. For the last battle, instead of using Team Rocket's boss, we will be using Team Rocket's Thieving Machine, can get a ton of value depending on which item card you discard. Opponent places down Ralts, Meloetta, and Diancie. First of all, Thieving Machine. This is a guaranteed Pokeball, so we just steal it like that. Pokeball, Shadow Bullet, attacking Ralts. That's rough. All they do is feed Ralts. So just like this, we can Cyrus. It's basically GG. I might do one more battle. This is rather short, so Weezing. We don't have Needle, but we should still be able to one-shot Ralts this turn. At this point, feed Hoopa. Attack doing 50 damage, 20 onto Meloetta, so taking 2 points. Next turn, Hoopa EX is doing 120 onto this innocent Melody Pokemon. That's rough. They concede. If they pulled a Peculiar Plaza, they might have stood a chance, especially with the confusion if I got Tails, but just like that, Hoopa EX standing dominant. I'm gonna do one more battle. Alright, last battle going first. Leading with Hoopa. Opponents leading with Eiscue. Ability is rather annoying. If this Pokemon has full HP, it takes negative 40 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon, but we have Needle to counteract that. So in other words, next turn, Eiscue, if it doesn't heal up, will be taking at least 40 damage. So Needle goes off, doing 10. If you can evolve into Weezing, it might be GG, just like that. Alright, opponent Lucky Ice Pops, healing that damage up. Might as well Thieving Machine. We can either get a Pokeball or Lucky Ice Pop. We get Lucky Ice Pop, could come in clutch later on. Very straightforward. Shadow Bullet doing 0 damage. I think we're doing 0 damage onto the board. Yeah, bench as well, but this up Needle goes off. In 2 turns, Hoopa will be doing 100 damage. I am confused. I don't know what's going on here. That's a very desperate Heavy Helmet. They copycat? Yeah. Heavy Helmet doing jack shy to this full art Eiscue. Lapras EX! What's up, man? Okay. Lapras EX might come back to the meta. You never know. This might be a sign of the changing of the times, but yeah. That's all we could do pretty much. Just feed Hoopa. Next turn, bro is doing 100. We got Cyrus as well, so at this point, we might as well just hard target Lapras. If we can pull a Weezing, we will do 140 damage on to Lapras. Unfortunately, we do not. But looking at our hand, like, there's no winning this. 2 Lucky Ice Pops. We got Absol as well. At this stage of the game, we might as well feed Absol just in case. Shadow Bullet, next turn, Lapras should get knocked out. Okay, opponent Heavy Helmet's Lapras. All we need is a Weezing, please. We should still be able to one-shot if you can pull that Pokemon. Doesn't matter because we got Field Blower. So again, there's a lot. This is why I love this deck. It's very versatile. There's a lot of ways to play this deck. You can either be very aggressive or extremely defensive, but just like that. I'm just gonna look at Ice Pop once. It's basically GG, but I can just keep on doing this if I want. Or not if I get Tails. Alright, just like that, doing exactly 110. Taking the win. And yeah, that is the Team Rocket's Weezing EX / Hoopa EX deck showcase. And yeah, that was the deck showcase. Once again, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you found this video informative as well as a bit entertaining. I tried to be. Overall, this deck is very fun to run. If you guys are curious if this is better than the Darkrai EX variation, I'd argue that it is. For one thing, this deck is a lot more versatile, especially as I mentioned towards the late game, primarily because you could pivot to feeding Absol, depending on the scenario, while also doing a decent amount of chip damage using Weezing's ability. Whereas, of course, looking at Darkrai, just pulling up for reference. In order to do the chip damage, of course, you want to keep on feeding it. So depending on the stage of the game, it might be more beneficial to feed Absol instead of Darkrai. So you could do 20 damage if you feed it 1 Darkness Energy. Next turn, let's say like your Hoopa EX is about to get one-shotted, so you want to pivot to Absol. And it'll take you 2 more turns until you are able to utilize Darkrai EX's ability. Looking at Weezing, as you saw from this deck showcase, it'll most likely stay in your bench and you'll either lead with Hoopa or Mega Absol towards the late game. But even then, leading with this guy isn't too bad, especially given the attack could be very disruptive, especially if your opponent can't PC late it or can't afford to retreat from their active. Can definitely win you the game. But again, the main flaw for this is, of course, Ogerpon. If you run into an Ogerpon, you might be screwed depending on RNG, so that's definitely one reason to run Darkrai Ex instead of Weezing Ex. But even then, I mean, if you ever use this deck with Darkrai, it's always so awkward leading with Darkrai. Depending on RNG, it could take you 2 to even 3 turns to retreat out of Darkrai, and it just feels so awkward. Whereas, of course, Coughing, after attacking, you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench, so you could easily sub into Hoopa EX, and then Weezing will be basically built. So, but yeah, regardless, if you're going up against, let's say, like a grass deck, you're most likely gonna lose, to be completely honest, like a lot of damage. Vespiquen itself does 160. So, rest in peace, Hoopa. Mega Absol survives, but Hoopa and Weezing will get one-shotted, which is why instead of Team Rocket's boss, you can run a lot of cards. You can run Thieving Machine, as you saw from the last 2 battles. Also, you could run Stunning Plains, Giant Cape as well, just to give you a little bit of an edge, a little bit of survivability. But even then, we have Lucky Ice Pop. So, yeah, overall, I'd rate this deck A tier. Solid A tier. Very fun to run and fits perfectly in the darkness type archetype. And yeah, once again, this is the 2D pattern code right here. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Once again, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Again, please like and subscribe. I got a few more deck showcases planned in the near future, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys on my next one. Peace.